All right, guys, we're back. This is the spoiler review for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Look, you can listen to our non-spoiler review. That is that's up already, but this is for people who have seen the movie or don't mind things being spoiled for them. So again, spoiler review. So don't get mad if you clicked on this one by mistake. Look, we both enjoyed the movie tremendously. One of our big issues is there's just a lot going on, and some things could have been pulled. So let's start there. Michaela Cole's character, that entire arc, unnecessary.
I mean, look,
unnecessary.
Michaela Cole. I love Michaela Cole. I think
she's great.
I think she's a bright talent. But her character didn't need to be in the movie. And look, that's kind of like saying Forrest Whitaker didn't need to be in the first one. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They're there, but they don't impact the story. So as long as you can appreciate that, I get it. Like, you just want to be a part of something cool. I get it.
Yeah. Like, that's what it felt like. She was just like, the first one was dope. Can I be in it? And they were like, okay. That's what it felt like.
We'll give you some lines.
Right. Like, but she's such a bigger talent than what she was given to do.
Right. That she's not what I wasn't even thinking of her when I said that, like, whole characters could be lifted. I was talking about Martin Freeman's character.
100% could have been.
I mean, every scene that he is in, he and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, every scene that they are in can easily be lifted from this movie, and you lose nothing. Like, they don't impact the story whatsoever. It can easily be rewritten that if you're trying to get in contact or you're trying to find Shuri, like, you can just use the Kimoyo beads, and because that's what they do anyway, right? Like, everything that they are a part of can easily be lifted. They were just kind of a waste.
Yeah, I felt like they were like, we need white people in this.
I mean, I feel like that's it, right? Like, I feel like they were mandated that, like, all right, like, this is great and all, but, like, there's too much black and brown in here. You got to give something for the white people to relate to, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Martin Freeman.
Yeah,
randomly.
Yeah, they don't need to be here, and normally I wouldn't mind, but one, this movie's already really long, and two, that time could be used to develop the Talokans a little better, in my opinion.
Right, I agree with that.
It's something that just kind of annoyed me. The only other thing that really, as I sat and thought about it, is Namor's plan. Namor's plan doesn't really make sense. So Namor, so the rest of the world is trying to find vibranium in locations that are not Wakanda, right? Because Wakanda's like, look, we'll help you find vibranium in other places, but we're not going to give you our vibranium. Like, that's ridiculous, right? And it turns out, like, the rest of the world, or the U.S., has a vibranium detecting machine that only one person in the world created, right? And no one else knows how to make, right? Like, okay, all right. And
just write it down. Just write it down.
Right. Like, it's
cool. Thanks for making that. If you could just write the schematics now, we'll just make 50 of these.
Right. Like, so they want to. So Namor's like, okay, there's a scientist who makes this machine. I need you to find that scientist so I can kill them, and then there will be no more machines. And then that scientist is Riri Williams.
Right.
I don't mind. Look, I love the idea of Riri Williams. I think that more women, especially Black women, need to be in STEM. I think it is. It's just a personal, like, thing that I have. I love it. And I think Riri Williams, the character, was like a breath of fresh air, right? Because, like, she's African American. You know what I mean? Like
she's
she's
a part of the lost tribe as they refer to her, which I thought was really dope. I like that.
Right. Like so she speaks in typical African American like slang, right? Like
Right.
where all the other black people are speaking without contractions, right? And are incredibly overly articulate. She's just like, yo, what? Like,
she's the audience she's the audience in a lot of ways, right? She's the black audience. Like
she is.
I love when she shows up. It's like, so what do you think of Wakanda? Well, books do not do this justice. Like, are y'all serious? Like, this is for real. Yeah, I like Dominique Thorne in this role. She's great.
So his plan is kill that scientist. We found is to kill the scientist, and there'll be no more vibranium detecting machine. And like, yo, they're not gonna just have like somebody kill. First of all, Wakanda's not gonna let somebody just murder a black woman. Like, that's just like, no, yo, like, no, we're not going to deliver you a person so that you can kill them. That's ridiculous. Second of all, yo, the machine can be rebuilt. Like it doesn't. And going back to Namor's plan, then he gets Riri, right? And then he's talking to Shuri, and he's like, hey, look at all this. Look at this beautiful place we have here, right? You don't want those outsiders to come and destroy my home, right? Just like you don't want them to destroy your home. Let's team up. Let's get the black and brown people together to team up and destroy the white man, right? Like that's.
And I'm like look, I get it. I get it, Namor. You're making a lot of sense.
and he's like, you're going to help me. Like, you have to help me. You're going to help me, or I'm going to destroy your home. And then I'm going to destroy the surface world, the rest of the surface world.
Nah,
yo, like that just, it's a weird pivot. It's a weird pivot.
Yeah. And so like we had talked about in the other review, like that doesn't make any sense, right? Like that's a weird thing. But when you look at narratively what they were trying to do, which is to mirror that idea of vengeance and anger, like lashing out, because what they're really doing is using Namor's plan as a like, this is a mirror held up to how Shuri feels after her brother died, right? Like that's the whole point of that. The plan doesn't really make sense. But it makes sense when you look at it as a mirror. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, my issue is, and I'm not trying to be mean, is that people are really bad at picking up subtext. And, like, they won't get that. Like, but that's the whole point of that. Like, Shuri's relationship with Namor is an exact copy of, like, her internal dialogue. Of, like, good angel, bad devil type of thing. Like, which way you gonna go? Which way you gonna go? Like that's the whole point, right? He's an external representation of her mental thoughts of how she feels right now.
They reinforce it later in the movie, like
yeah, with her M'Baku conversation.
Well, I'm talking about when she goes to the astral plane.
Yes, which is a very good moment. I think it was great.
Right, it is a very good moment, and I'm afraid people aren't going to get it because they're going to be ecstatic that Killmonger's back, and you know he should have been like.
Y'all don't understand that. Y'all don't understand the first movie. You don't understand the first movie. Holy shit, you don't understand the first movie. Like that's what drives me crazy. Is Michael B. Jordan? A buddy of mine asked me, he was like, "Oh, is he in this?" And I said, "Yes, he is." And he was like, "Oh, that's awesome." I was like, "He's still dead. This nigga is dead. Okay, relax." I said, "Listen, the whole point of that character." Is that it is a dichotomy between him and T'Challa. They are two sides to that coin. For every black dude and every black woman, you're like, kind of want to burn the whole fucking planet down because they treat me like shit, but I got to be better than that. Like, that's the whole point. With all that power, with great power comes great responsibility. Hello, it's the overarching point of the entire fucking MCU. And if you miss that, when he comes back in this, that he is still the same guy. He has not changed. He died believing the shit he believed, right? So it's like that's the whole point of that. I loved his cameo, but it is meant to be read as this guy was not the right guy to be the Black Panther. That's the whole fucking point.
I mean, he says, "Are you going to be noble like your brother, or are you going to handle your business like me?"
Right.
Like, who in their right mind doesn't want to be noble?
A psychopath. A psychopath. People are like, yeah, no, that's the guy. Like, nah, yo, like you got to look past the kung fu kicks and the sword and shit. Like, you got to look at who the character is.
Like, even villains in their own like twisted mind are noble. They think they're noble.
Right.
This dude straight up just says, "Nah, fuck nobility."
Yeah,
like just burn everyone down, and I will create it. And like that's what people don't get about that character. He wanted to create it in his image. He was essentially a black separatist. He doesn't want equality. He wants black people on top and everyone else to be subjugated. Like that doesn't, and that's not cool either, yo. Like
supremacy is not the way. Like it's not.
It's not, yo. It's not.
But it's amazing how they had to bang that home again in the second movie because people were like, Killmonger is awesome. Yeah, like he's a badass, but like he's not a good person, yo. Like he's not. The whole point of that character, the whole point of the Black Panther mantle is a character with basically unlimited power. Quite literally said in the movie, the most powerful person in the most powerful nation on the surface world. You can't have a psychopath in that position. Like that's not good. That's a bad thing. Right? Like So I want to talk about the mid-credit scene. Because I think it's gonna walk away as one of the biggest moments of the movie for a lot of people.
Can I just say I will lead you right into it, but Lupita Nyong'o is great. There's not enough Lupita Nyong'o in the movie.
I agree with that.
I feel like that's another character that I don't think she's wasted, because like the bomb that she drops in that mid-credit scene that literally affects the entire franchise.
It does.
Or it has the potential to affect the entire franchise. But I don't think she was used enough, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I think she's a tremendous actor. I think she's and I just would have liked to have seen her character get a little more screen time. Interacting with Shuri, especially when Shuri is in her anger / bargaining stage, is I mean, it was great. It was wonderful. Yeah. Like it was just something very, very wonderful to see. And I needed more of those two interacting with each other.
Right. And look, I get why they didn't, just because, again, like there's a narrative of why she's more like, hey, I'm gonna stay over here type of shit. Like I get that, but you do miss her because it's like, she's an Oscar award-winning actress and she's really fucking good. Like she's really good. Yeah. And Letitia Wright, by anything I've seen, and not just in these movies, I've seen her in other things. She's a phenomenal fucking actress. Crazy, a little wacky, but a phenomenal actress. So like, it's cool to see the two of them, like, chop it up in those scenes. I absolutely agree with you. So the mid-credit scene, it plays well in so many different ways. It cuts a lot of different ways. One, it's hopeful, right? It is that last moment of the 5 stages, the acceptance stage, right? Like that, it's absolutely perfect. Coogler does a great job of having Shuri go sit on the beach, which is a thing that her mom was trying to get her to do early on in the movie. And she sits on the beach, and it is a perfect indie movie kind of ending. Blurred background, she's in the forefront, she's sitting, there is nothing, there's no noise, there's nothing, and her just sitting and looking out at the beach with this fire burning, and she just starts to cry as there are flashes of these images of Chadwick Boseman from the first movie. And it's kind of awesome, because the beginning funeral scene, like for me, I was like, okay, like like a little emotion, right? But there's like the beautiful music and the clothing and everything. And so there's a lot going on. There's a celebration of him and everything else. But it's that end moment as the movie fades out, as she's trying to take through all the shit that she's had to go through, losing quite literally everyone, her father, her mother, her brother, everyone, as she says, I've lost everyone who knows me, right? She sits alone on this beach, you know, not in the fucking suit, just in regular clothes. And she starts to cry as those images are rolling. You can't help but get to an emotional place with her as an audience member. I thought was phenomenal. And then it goes in the credits, and then it kicks back into that same scene where then you see Nakia, who walks to the beach, and she brings this little boy with her. And earlier in the movie, we find out that Nakia didn't come to the funeral, and she hadn't been back to Wakanda in 6 years, right? So after T'Challa disappeared during the snap, she left, and she was like, losing him was too much. That was her everything. And then he dies soon after that, right? So she's been gone for 6 years. She's been in Haiti. She introduces Shuri to this little boy, and she says his name is Toussaint. And he's adorable, by the way. Jesus Christ, that's a cute kid, man. It's stellar casting. It's an adorable kid. And she says, Toussaint, this is your auntie, right? And so it's like, oh shit, they had a kid. She ended up pregnant, and that's part of the reason she left. And you come to find out that Queen Ramana knew about this kid and met him, right? Because she alludes to like, your brother had this large secret, and then shit pops off and they can't talk about it. And you kind of almost forget about it, considering all the shit that's happened since she said that. Like the whole war happens.
Yeah, it happens very early in the movie, like in like halfway through the first act.
Right, which is smart, by the way. Like, good. You shouldn't remember that. Like they don't want to lead you too hard on that. Like, you should forget. And so then she's like, she introduces and says, hey, this is your auntie, and they have a little like cute interaction or whatever. And so she says, Toussaint is, Toussaint's like my Haitian name or whatever. And she says, well, what is your name? And he says, T'Challa. Yeah, I'm Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa, right? So it's like, that's that hopeful moment of like, if you were wondering, if you're one of these fucking dudes, and I'm going to be really serious here for a second. If you're one of these fucking dudes that has a serious fucking problem, and it is a really weird one, that a man isn't the lead of this movie. One, what's wrong with you? Like that's fundamentally fucking weird, right? Who don't want to just see black women kicking ass as a black man? I don't get it. Whatever. That's my kink. I think women are attractive. Strange. And I want to see people be badasses. Like, dude, that's cool. Like, nothing wrong with that. But this quiets that idea of they should have recast, because not only is it T'Challa's son, he has the same fucking name. But there's another aspect to this that I was thinking about during our other review. It's not that his name is just T'Challa. His name is also Toussaint. Toussaint L'Ouverture, right?
Right.
I didn't think about it until today. I was like, Toussaint, that's an interesting name. And I was like, right, they're in fucking Haiti.
This is fucking Haitian revolutionary.
Right. The most well-known black Haitian revolutionary. That is an incredible weight to put on that kid, right?
Fucking slave revolt,
right. quite literally the most successful slave revolt on the planet. That's part of the reason why Haiti has been punished a lot, by a lot of European countries. You're like, quiet as a fucking cat. If you're just looking for, they just need to recast, then you missed the fucking beautiful narrative that they painted at the end of this movie. Not only is there a future T'Challa to take over that role, because it's not like he don't know who he is, but he's being raised in Haiti, and now he has a connection, and I'm sure, because I'm sure Shuri will be dealing with him a lot more, right? That's her nephew. Not only that, but he is literally carrying the name of a fucking African king and a black revolutionary at the same fucking time. That is writing I cannot express to you. Please don't just pay attention to kicks and swords and listen to what they say. That is incredibly powerful, man. That is an incredibly powerful moment. God damn, that's awesome, dude. Because it also gives Letitia Wright an out for this, right? She can just eventually just become the queen and just be like, look, I don't want to do the action sequences. I show up every once in a while. In a couple years, boom, there you go. You got an early 20s fucking T'Challa kicking ass in the MCU.
Look, I asked in our non-spoiler review if they're still doing a Wakandan Disney Plus show. Guess what? Guess what that show could be about?
Yeah,
it could be about that character. It could be about Toussaint, T'Challa, whatever you want to call him. It can be about him. It can give him the time needed to really fully dig into this character in any way they want.
Right.
And I am hopeful for what that show will be given this revelation.
It's a dope one, man. Jesus, that's It's brilliant writing, man. That's brilliant writing. It really is.
It is. Look, let's talk about some fun stuff.
Talk about Namor.
Namor was fucking badass, yo.
He was awesome, dude. He was awesome. But he really did, man. Tenoch Huerta, like, that performance was fucking phenomenal. He nailed it, man. He nailed it.
He had like this, like, he's the best. I like these type of villains who are like calm, like anybody can just like yell and scream, right? Like that's what half of YouTube is. Right. But to be like menacing and intimidating while being calm and cool and collected, like that's badass.
Yeah.
Like and he like as much as I am complaining about the plan, like that, seeing that guy on screen is like he's I don't know, there's something about it. He's magnetic, man. And
I look forward to seeing more of him in the MCU. He was dope as shit.
Yeah, man. He was good, man. He was real good. And I hope they keep him as like an in-between, like kind of selfish, kind of little bit of a dick. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more of him. And look, action scenes. Some of the fighting was cut up a little too much in the editing room. Yeah. But some of the CG action scenes were dope. The CG looked a lot better than in the first movie. In the first movie, here's a little trick that movies do when they have like shaky CG, is they do a lot of it at night, and even or in dark areas. And even in that first one, when Black Panther and Killmonger are falling in that cave where it's dark, that was some rough looking CG.
Yeah, it was.
And this movie has a lot of dark spots to it. But there's one fight at the end of Act 2 that is where it's Namor just flying around, kicking ass and taking names, and it looked great.
And it's in the daytime.
The fight in Act 3, while it was fun, this is another like, well, this doesn't really make sense. They decide that they want to fight the Telokans in the middle of the ocean.
Nah, I wouldn't have done that.
That seems very stupid.
Let's go to them. No, what?
Yeah, I get it. They were trying to like lure them away, but like, nah, like they run the ocean, like we're gonna have to fight on a beach or something.
Yeah, I'm not fighting you in your home environment.
Right. And look, to their credit, like they got Namor away from the ocean, right? Because he's the one that like is the super powerful one. But at the same time, like, nah, I ain't fighting them in the middle of the ocetion.
Yeah, and guess what? The Wakandans got their asses handed to them too.
Right.
Yeah. The Telokans were like, "You sure about this?" you know what? Okay, y'all coming to see us. Wouldn't do that, but that's fine. And look, and it actually, for how badass the Wakandans are in everything, whether they are in their own movie or they show up in, the Dora Milaje show up in, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like they're unbeatable, right? Everyone's like, get the fuck out of the way, and they kick the shit out of everybody. This one, you get to see them like, oh, they've never, and they actually have a fear of that. They're like, we've never fought anybody who has access to vibranium before, so like,
yeah.
It's a even playing field, and what is Namor? Namor says, "My army is larger than I have as many men as there are blades of grass." I was like, and then you see that last fight, he was like, he wasn't really lying. Like, there's a lot of them, dude. There's way more of them than there are you. So yeah, that fight. I wouldn't have taken that one to the ocean.
Not to be outdone, the Dora Milaje, they get to kick some ass and take some names.
Goddamn right they do.
In the first the first moments of the first act, and those are just a bunch of scientists. Like half of those people were just scientists who know how to fight, right? Like when the French come in to try and steal the vibranium, they get their fucking asses handed to them.
Yep.
And it was a cool sight to see, but the better sight was seeing in the UN where Ramonda is just standing there sitting there looking like the queen that Angela Bassett is, and the Dora Milaje come in their suits, not their fighting outfit. They're in their badass like work attire, right? and just make each and every one of those French soldiers kneel before the. I mean, it's a hell of a way to start this movie off, man.
It is quite the visual of like these badass black women being like, just quite literally bringing white. It's just white dudes to heal. It's amazing. It's like, we got it, Ryan. We got it. Thumbs up. Yeah, look, I just thought it was fun. Like the portrayals I thought were really great. I mean, again, the biggest issue with this movie is just so much going on. Look, Namor's entire world looked great. It really did. The movie spent a lot more time underwater than I realized it would, right? Like, I don't know. I just assumed it'd be like a lot more like surface dwelling kind of things. Like they pop out of the water and they fight, whatever. But they do a pretty decent job of staying underwater for large parts of the movie. One thing I will say, and I saw a blurb about this, and I tend to agree with it. They do a really good job of distinguishing between who Namor is versus like Marvel's Aquaman. Like, nah, like they're nothing alike. They're nothing alike.
Yeah.
Like they don't function the same. They don't talk the same. Like it's not just some dude. Like they're like, oh, here's Marvel's Aquaman, like stamp. Like, no, they are wildly different characters. And there's nothing wrong with Aquaman. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like they do a very good job of differentiating those two type of characters.
Here's my thing, and this is not a Marvel versus DC thing. This is a filmmaker versus filmmaker thing, right? In Aquaman, they cast Jason Momoa, and I thought that was a stroke of genius. To have Aquaman be, have Polynesian roots, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense to me. But in his movie, there's not really not even like that there isn't a focus on it. I don't need it to be a focus on it, but you wouldn't know it from the way that movie plays out. Whereas this movie has its underwater character be of Mayan descent, and you see the culture, right, and you see the tradition. I'm assuming I'm not a part of that culture. I don't know. Right. But you see that on screen and it makes you appreciate it. When Namor comes down with that headdress,
it looks incredible, dude.
I mean, it's computer wallpaper, like it's beautiful. And, everyone is speaking their native tongue. And as far as I know, right. I don't speak.
It ain't sound like English to me.
Right. American. It didn't sound American to me. And look, it just, I don't know. It's stuff like that that I appreciate. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that it might not mean much to most people, but it means something to people who don't get to see that. You know what I mean? And like I'm not African, right? Like I don't, but I have cultural roots there, and it's wonderful to see.
Yes.
And I'm sure Latin folks, Hispanic folks, like they might not be Mexican or of Mayan descent, but you know what, yo? Like seeing that,
there's some familiarity there.
Right. And like seeing that, I have to imagine, I appreciated it. So I have to imagine that others will too. Yeah, man. I enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. Don't worry, all you dudes who are, look, I would like to say, look,
shut up. That's what I would like to say. Shut up. Just shut up. We're sick of you.
Why can't we share? Why can't like I see the argument that, well, little black boys should have a hero to look up to. Well, shouldn't little black girls be able to have that too?
There you go.
I mean, like at least for one movie, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Like, also we also have Captain America now. Like, we're gonna be all right.
Right.
We're gonna be all right. So, like, for all that clamoring, I assume all of y'all gonna be right there the day one when that comes out, right? Except for I've seen people go, does Sam Wilson deserve that from the same dudes? I'm like, I feel like there's an argument you're making that doesn't actually make sense.
I better see when Captain America: New World Order comes out. I better see a bunch of dudes in army fatigues and shields and wearing red, white, and blue, because as much as you people, no, as much as you people complain about like this, you give this like very weak argument of using black boys to like, well, shouldn't black boys have something? Like, yeah, they should, and they did. It's called Black Panther, and you can rewatch it as many times as you want.
Yep.
Let black girls have a turn.
Also, you should rate. Also, this is a crazy idea. How about you raise if you're worried about black boys? I assume the way you guys are talking that you have sons. You probably don't. But why wouldn't you want to raise them in a world where they get to see young black girls be awesome too? That should be the goal. That should be
as much as people, you know, like to say, like to give, you know, they say, oh yeah, we support black women. Like even something as little as letting them, not letting them, but seeing them on screen, like they're not like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It gets this bizarro response. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Especially because the first Black Panther, like he was surrounded by literally 4 black women that supported him.
Right.
And like,
yeah, that movie is heavily focused on black women too. It is.
Right. I'm not just talking about the Dora Milaje. I'm talking about the fact that Shuri gives him his suit. When T'Challa falls after being defeated by Killmonger, who goes to save him? His mom and his girlfriend and his sister and his closest general. Like
all women.
That first movie is literally black women picking black men up and putting him back together.
Yeah.
So I don't understand where this whole like we don't want to see like I don't know. It just it annoys me, man. It annoys me, especially from people who claim to be so pro-black and claim to be this. Right. Like you're full of shit, man.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, I would go a step further. You didn't pay attention to the movie. You didn't pay attention to the movie,
right?
And that's what I talked about the mid-credit scene with Toussaint. don't just pay attention to the kicks and punches. There is so much deeper shit in these movies if you actually pay attention. Stop going on YouTube and just watching action sequences from the movies. Rewatch it, and this time put your cell phone down and listen to what is being told to you. It's not that hard. You don't have to be a fucking film critic. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to pay attention for more than 5 seconds between kicking and punching scenes. Right? So like this idea of like, oh, I don't want to see, black women leading it. I'm like, they literally were major parts of the first movie. They quite literally were. Like you said, the people who picked him up were black women. By the way, in this movie, they make a point. They make a point to say that Okoye, who gets that incredibly strong scene between Queen Romana and Okoye, where she dismisses her as being the general. By the way, the most hardcore emotional scene in the movie, like outside of the things about Chadwick Boseman. I mean, it was, and is beautifully done. But if you pay attention to what is said in that scene by one of the people on the council, they even said she stood against her own husband. Her own husband, when he fucked up, Wakabe, she stood up against him in defense of that country. If you notice what she says to Romana when Romana is dying, she calls her mother, right? Yes, that's a cultural thing, but it's also significant, right? Mm-hmm. That's how connected those characters are to Romana. They're connected to this sort of like female perspective in this. There's never a moment that, Chadwick Boseman's character T'Challa watches his father die in Civil War, and it is emotional and it is hard. He comes back to Wakanda in his movie, and at no point is there any level of disrespect to his mother, even though he is now the king. There is none. So it's like, you have to pay attention to that. And by the way, you want to talk about the dichotomy between those characters? What is the first thing that fucking Killmonger says to the queen? Hey, auntie, right? It's this very dismissive fucking bullshit to her. Do you get it? Do you get it? The nobility versus getting shit done. Hero versus villain. Right? But you don't understand those things, or you miss those things, because the only thing you're paying attention to is how badass that kicking and fighting part was. Ryan Coogler is not only delivering a fun action movie in the MCU, he's actually delivering a fucking serious narrative. He is. Pay attention. Just pay attention for 5 minutes. Rewatch the first one and just fast forward through the action sequences and just pay attention to what they say, because it's even more prominent in this one. Yeah, Namor grabs a helicopter and throws it into the water, which is awesome. But he also says the most broken people can be the best leaders, right? Like there are distinctive things about that, right? And you can go, oh, was he talking about Chadwick Boseman? No, he's talking about Shuri. That's a mirror up to Shuri, because she's going through some hard shit to become the leader of this country. This tiny, tiny woman becomes the leader. It's amazing. Right. It's amazing what they go through in this film. Again, I just need people to pay attention. Like, I just do. And it drives me crazy, because if this movie wasn't an action movie in a lot of ways, or a superhero movie, I don't think people would watch it.
I mean, there's a sect that probably won't watch it, based on, whatever preconceived notion they have. And then there's a sect that will claim to not watch it after they watch it 3 times to make sure that they don't like it.
Right.
So
best of luck with your
know.
$60 you spent.
Right. I don't know. You should see it as many times as you want, just to make sure you don't like it. And look, if you don't like it, I get it. Right. I get it. There are some things that in the movie that just don't work. But for me, the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's it until we eventually do a Black on Black Cinema episode on this, whenever this is available for home viewing. Yeah. And I'm interested to see what my feelings of it will be after, a significant amount of time has passed.
Right.
But yeah, man, I dig it. I hope you dig it. If you don't, that's okay. But yeah,
I just want people to pay attention to movies. That's my big thing. I just want you to listen to the narratives, man, because they're beautifully done. I'm asking
I think you're asking a lot.
I'm asking. I'm pretty sure I'm asking too much. I'm being honest, but like I just really think about that mid-credit scene, and I know that people are just going to walk away with, "Cool, T'Challa has a kid. He could be the future Black Panther." But that's not all they're saying. Man. This is not all they're saying. Like, yeah, it's hopeful and it's acceptance on that end. But like, they literally gave this dude the name of an African king and the name of a famous Black revolutionary. Like, does anyone read history, man? Like, come on. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful line. And look, it's going to take somebody writing an article and people go, "Oh, I didn't know that. Turns out I Googled it." And I'm like, they taught it in school.
It's gonna take a BuzzFeed article for people to put.
Did you guys know this? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, which character in the MCU is most like a historical character? Like, but like just that idea of bringing revolution to his people, right, or to break those chains of slavery, for quote the lost tribe, is a big deal. That's a big deal, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. The one other thing I want to talk about just quickly, because this is going long, that I had a problem with, that I get it, but I did have a problem with. I would have liked to see more development of some of Namor's people, right? Like, Namora doesn't get. I mean, she's in it, like she's fighting and stuff like that, but they don't give enough time to kind of develop. Like, and I only need like 1 or 2 people. Like that's it. I didn't need like a whole tribe of people, but Namor's the only one who ever gets developed from that world.
Yeah, man. Again, that's one of those plates that that kind of fell for me. I think it like I said, I think this movie would be better served. I can't believe I'm about to say this. I think this movie could have used an extra 20 minutes. And I know that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's been 3 hours.
Right. But if you are going either the movie deserved an extra 20 minutes, or you need to really cut, like, you need to trim the fat. You need to get rid of Everett Ross and Allegra de Fontaine. You need to not have Riri Williams be a prominent role. And look, she was badass in it. Like, she looked cool. I dig the Ironheart suit. But that character was just a MacGuffin. It could have literally been anybody.
Yeah.
And I get it. You want to introduce this character because the character has a TV show coming out and stuff like that. I get it. But I think I don't think it hurt the story, but it didn't help the story. The only thing I think that hurt the story was Namor's plan. But that's it. Everything else was either good to great. And it did. I think the movie did what it set out to do, at least for me. It took me on an emotional, like, journey. And it's being, of course, all art is, tries to manipulate you in some way.
Of course.
But I feel like I feel like with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, it was much easier to manipulate myself personally.
Right.
And it worked on me. It worked on me. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. All right. Agreed. Yeah, go see it. Go see it. I'm definitely going to see it at least, probably, maybe 2 more times. Yeah, I'm very interested to see it, like, give it a couple days and then see it again. All right, that's it for our spoiler review for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. We will see you guys next time.
See ya.